Yeah.
Alright guys, so a lot of people have asked in my Instagram DMs and YouTube videos how my arch has been getting very good and exponentially better. So I'm going to do a video which a lot of you guys will benefit from because not that many people arch like me and shit. And yeah, so I'm gonna do a video on it, all the shit I've learned over the past 3 years of benching. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so the first thing I learned when I started arching was my T-spine mobility. So to make your T-spine mobility greater, grab 2 lacrosse balls or baseballs and look up a video how to make one of these. I literally forgot how it's called, but just look up 2 baseballs or lacrosse balls taped together. You get one of these, right? Place it on the bench or on the floor. On your 2 erectors, that's where you want the baseball, the 2 baseballs. And basically, all you do is you put it on the bench or the floor, get it on your erectors, and then just you do a sit-up. And then you do like maybe 5 sit-ups, and then you move it up. And then, you keep going. You're gonna feel your abs very engaged in this movement. Do it, sit up, hold at the top, down, and you do it all the way up your spine. And what it will do, what it will do is it's gonna increase your T-spine mobility, allowing you to create more arch in your back. So that's literally the first thing I ever learned in my arching setup. Second tip is how wide you grab the bar. I grab the bar max width. USAPL is 81 centimeters, I think, but which means your pointer finger has to cover the rings on a Ohio Power Bar or whatever bar you're using. For Olympic Power Bars, I think it's still the first ring. So on my bar, I have to make sure my pointer finger will cover this ring, and that's as far as I can grab. So the wider you are, the less range of motion you have to go down. So if you want to do crazy arch and minimal range of motion, the wider you are, the better it's going to be. And it's going to take some time adjusting, but it becomes the most efficient in the long run. Alright, third tip is how well you plant your feet into the ground. So it's quite dusty here, so if you guys have a lot of dust in your home gym, make sure you guys clean the floor before, so it's nice and silky smooth and nice and cleaned up. So this is how I'd recommend doing it. Just take some Clorox or whatever cleaner you have and just go around it and make sure it dries with a towel. And then also, before you go for the lift, spray it on the ground. This is only if the ground is very slippery. Spray it on the ground, 1, 2, and then wash it off here. Your feet will not slip. Your feet are gonna stay like that, right? So the biggest thing I've learned was from my coach Sean Noriega was when you're benching, focus on my quads. You want to keep your legs fully engaged on the whole lift. So I'm grabbing the bar, retracting my scapula, quads are engaged, press up, out, depressing, feet down, quads still engaged, down, up, down, up, down, up. The whole time, my quads are getting pushed into the ground as hard as they can throughout the whole movement. A lot of people don't realize that they only bench like this. They're here. They get in the nice arch. They go down and they let their feet relax. You see how I'm relaxed? If I'm relaxed, first of all, my arch won't be any higher because my feet aren't pressing. And most people do this. They'll be relaxed down here and then press up with the movement there, creating that jolt. There's 2 main reasons it's not good. 1, your butt can lift up, calling it a no lift in the USAPL IPF for a competition. And 2, it's just not efficient. If you're not using your legs throughout the whole lift, you're not maximizing your power potential. Alright, now on to the 3 warm-ups I do. Obviously you guys saw the T-spine mobility one, but that will just help increase your T-spine mobility. The 3 warm-ups, or 4, I do will be, the first one is banded reach. So you want to get against something nice and flat. Door would be nice. we'll go like this. Sit down into a semi-squat. Reach, but not with your chest. Reach with your arms. Give your buddy a thumbs up. You're reaching with your arms, but you're not squeezing your chest. Making sure your glutes are your hamstrings and your glutes are on fire. Bracing your core and just reaching, but not with your chest. You're just reaching kind of with your scapula. But yeah, you want to make sure your chest is not really engaged in this. It's gonna help unretract your scapula, because as we retract our scapula in the bench press, it's obviously not ideal for the body, so this is unretracting it. So that's my first warm-up. Second warm-up is another warm-up for the scapula, and yeah, so grab a foam roller, set up to it, feet against the wall. I'm gonna do it right here. Feet against the wall, and brace your core and just push up with your shoulders. You want maximal extension with your shoulders, and it's gonna like just kind of the same thing with that where you're reaching. You're just reaching, so it kind of unretracts your scapula to get ready for the bench press.
Yeah.
All right, to get the shoulders nice and warmed up, just to get some rotator cuff exercises, banded pull aparts, if you want to call them like that, over and unders with the band, and then that will make sure your rotator cuffs, so you can, your scapular retraction. And then this is for your chest activation. Just put the band behind your back, and then just literally just reach. Make sure you get some nice chest activation. And that's basically, we're almost done. All right, last thing is hook lying bench. And basically, not a lot of people know hook lying bench, because I'm pretty sure it's like a new thing in powerlifting, and not many people know, but it will help with huge bench. It will help. Not many people know what a hook lying bench is, but it's a huge tool in powerlifting now. With big arches and scapular retraction, it really helps it. So basically, when we did the two other exercises, which we wanted to unretract the scapula, this is one of those. So I grab max width, but for this you want to come in. So I'm doing pinky on rings. You unrack, make sure your back is fully flat on the bench. You use your heels to drive up, but not too much. So you don't want your butt flying up, but you want your hamstrings, and you want to make sure you feel your abs, right? So you're using your heels to drive your legs into the bench. Your hamstrings are firing. You inhale on the way down and exhale at the top. And at the top you reach, you go for a reach. So and this is all maintaining your core and your hamstrings. Yo, what up?
Hey, how much improvement, what'd your numbers go to?
Alright guys, so sorry, I just got interrupted by fucking this kid named Lex Little. Like, this kid's gotta shut up. So yeah, anyway, so as we were talking about we were onto bench press. So I'm warming up right now. Basically I gave you all the tips, and the last thing I want to do is how you wrap your wrists and your grip. So Julie, can you take this camera? Alright guys, so I gave you all the main things, the exercises, the keys. So basically this is what it sums up to everything. So this is how my setup would go. Spray, a little bit of cleaner, wipe, and then get it nice and like rough and sticky on the towel. When you're wrapping your wrist wrap, I use a flex one. People use stiff ones. This is a flex one. My SPD ones over there, those are flex as well. But the problem with those is those were not keeping my wrist straight, and you do need a wrist wrap to make sure your wrists are straight. I was benching improperly before with the bar on my fingers, so wrap your wrist really nice and tight, just above your wrist joint, so you can still have room to grab the bar. You don't want your wrist moving around a lot. If your wrist is moving around a lot, the bar is going to be placed in the improper spots. So now I'm using these wrist wraps, and my wrists are nice and straight and locked in position. So basically have like that. Cannot move my wrist a lot. There's no mobility when I have the bar. Feet are good, locked in place. Come closer. Basically, I'm max width, right? So I take the bar in my hand. I put it into this part of my hand, right? So it's lying across like that. Bars like that, right? So I'm pushing up in there, with my thumbs driving up. Get my arch position. Feet are engaged, flat on the floor. Arms still pushing up. Grab it, unrack, depress. Feet down, still driving. Start, press, rack. And that is how you do a fucking bench press.